Here at Sinister Minutes, we care deeply about the environment. Given that level of concern, we've decided to stop just paying lip service to environmental issues and actually do something about them. Introducing the Sinister Minutes Reuse Recycle Restaurant. We've taken a page from the farm-to-table folks, but we're skipping the farm entirely and diving right into biohazard bins. Try our Thursday night special, Parmesan pancreatic cancer tissue on a bed of Italian accordion pasta, accompanied by spinach salad with a dash of cornea. Or visit on Wild Game Wednesday, when the specials are always changing depending on what tried to cross the highway last night. Daily Happy Hour features a lovely assortment of finger foods made with real fingers, or try our own signature Sinister Sizzlers, pickled livers grilled to perfection and served on tongue depressors. Visit the Sinister Minutes Reuse Recycle Restaurant today. Do something nice for yourself and the world, all at the same time. Got a minute or two? We have a way to make it not okay. Welcome to Sinister Minutes. I'm your host, writer and storyteller Kurt Homan. Next to me is the master of macabre musical musings, the maestro of mood, Tim Parker. Together, let us take you on a journey into the dark heart of disturbing. Sinister Minutes. It's not okay. Sinister Minutes features tales that include disturbing content. That's intentional because, like the podcast itself, the creators here at Sinister Minutes are really not okay. Now, having said that, realize that content featured on this podcast may include descriptions of some pretty horrific things at times. It is a dark fiction podcast, after all. So we hope that you are anticipating some degree of abuse and blood, of harm and death, of suicide, of sex, of injury, of mutilation, of pain, and certainly some profanity. Maybe a little bit of screaming, occasionally some threats, a bit of torture, a bit of victim blaming. And as always, at some point, we're sure that you're going to encounter some witches. Don't say we didn't warn you. Welcome to Sinister Minutes, Season 2, Episode 7. Today is not only Friday the 13th, it's also International Axe Throwing Day. Coincidence? Your friendly hosts here at Sinister Minutes don't think so. What better way to celebrate this day than a game of toss-across with a sharp-bladed weapon? We'll be over here mopping up. Next time, we are definitely doing this outside. Today's show features a couple of tales involving young people. Fairy Godmother is a modern twist on an old legend, and Perilous Parking is a haunted house tale without the house. After those dark delights, Tim's whipped up a piece of music to keep the mood slipping further into the shadowy depths. One he calls, "Was That a Creak on the Staircase?" Before we delve in, a quick note of gratitude for your support, for letting us entertain you, for sharing Sinister Minutes with your friends. If you're just joining us for the first time today, we encourage you to go back and give a listen to the multitude of shows in our vault. Long-time listeners, if you give some of those older shows another listen, we're betting you'll hear some things you missed the first time. As always, a nice rating at Spotify or Apple or Amazon or wherever is always appreciated. We've just rolled out a new website at sinisterminutes.com. You can still find us under Sinister Minutes on Blue Sky and YouTube and Facebook, but sinisterminutes.com gives you a place to find links to all the episodes, places to subscribe, and even some juicy bits about the creators. If you've got a story of your own, something with a dark or sinister bent, something you'd like to hear on a future Sinister Minutes episode, then visit sinisterminutes.com and fill out the submission form included there. We read every entry, taking breaks only to sharpen our axes for the next toss. Perhaps we should mention here, just one more time, that we are not okay. Fairy Godmother, written and narrated by Kurt Homan. The young, dark-haired girl clutches a stuffed bear to her chest. Tears shimmer in her eyes, moments from running down her reddened cheeks. She sits on a hard plastic chair, alone in the intense brightness of the hospital hallway, the ever-present smell of disinfectant almost, but not quite, covering a deeper, more pungent odor. Her rumpled blouse and dirty sneakers speak of a long day, one much longer than any young girl should have to endure. Perhaps she wishes to walk into some treasured book, to become a character in a fairy tale. Someone always helps the girls in those stories to find the way out of their problems. Sometimes it's a prince who rescues them, but often it's a fairy godmother, a magical, witchy woman who watches over them, granting wishes and taking away suffering. Neither prince nor fairy godmother comes to her rescue. No one even passes by save the occasional white-coated adult, looking curiously at the child who perches on a chair in a corridor where no one spends more time than they must. That the chair is present at all is surprising. It is not a place for waiting, but one for those who have moved beyond waiting, beyond patience, beyond caring. The curiosity of the white coats is not enough for them to stop and speak to her. No doubt she will be difficult to comfort, and they bear no desire to feel weak and ineffective in a failed attempt. And so she sits, feet that hang just shy of the floor, kicking every so often. She stares off into space, paying no more attention to the infrequent passing adult than they pay to her. The hallway remains quiet, the only subdued sound coming from occasional soft shoes echoing on the hard, polished floor, and not from any snippets of conversation. Those who walk these halls respect the somber mood too much to allow their voices to rise. At times, the treading footsteps create a cadence, and the girl closes her eyes as her tears, finally squeezed out, run down the side of her nose, pooling just above her lip. There is a change, something out of place in the hushed numbness, a single plunk, and then a different sound, like something being dragged, another plunk, another dragging. The girl's eyes open, seeking the source. Coming down the hallway, still a few paces away, an elderly woman using a walker stares at her. Plunk goes the walker as she thrusts it forward, her shuffling feet barely capable of keeping up. Her face looks immeasurably old, filled with wrinkles carved deeply by time and hardship. Her attire seems lifted from an ancient black and white photograph, a shapeless, colorless dress hanging inches above large, uncomfortable-looking black shoes. Likely, it is not her clothing that makes the girl stare, but her hair. The old woman has a lot of hair. Bright white tresses that start atop her head, cascade around her shoulders, then continue downward, seemingly forever. Some might find her appearance ridiculous, unsuitable for a woman of her age, but there is something beautiful about all that hair, and the girl cannot take her eyes from it. They stare at one another. As she grows near, the old woman opens her mouth to speak, but only a thin rasping of air escapes her lips. Looking concerned now, which adds even more wrinkles, something that moments earlier seemed impossible, the woman again opens her mouth and this time finds the strength to speak. "Dearie," she gasps, "I hate to be a bother." There is more she wishes to say. That is obvious. But her voice has abandoned her. The girl holds the old woman's gaze, not speaking, but giving her the time to find her breath and continue. At last, she does. "Could I trouble you to move so that I might sit in your chair for a spell?" She takes a few more deep breaths before continuing. "I'm not so strong as I once was, and I really need to rest. I promise I'll let you have it back in a few minutes." The last words come out in a whispered rush, barely audible even in the quiet hallway. Without a sound, the girl slips from the chair, still clutching the bear to her chest. The woman smiles as she drops into the seat, a thank you dying on her lips as her breath again betrays her. There they remain, each looking at the other, the ancient woman with the long white hair that is now scattered about and dangling to the floor in places, and the young girl with the sad expression and wet cheeks. The woman finds her voice again and begins to speak more softly this time. "Thank you, dearie. I truly appreciate you giving up your seat. I know you didn't want to, and that makes it even more special. Would you be so kind as to tell me your name?" "I'm not supposed to talk to strangers," the girl sniffles, "but you don't seem like the kind of stranger Mama warned me about." She takes a step back, then performs an awkward curtsy. "Relina. My name is Relina." The old woman smiles at the formal greeting, likely unexpected from one so young. "Relina, what a lovely name. Well, Relina, my name is Agnes Bartell. I'm very pleased to meet you." "Mrs. Bartell, I'm most pleased to meet you as well." Relina's lip begins to quiver. I've been here so very long, and no one's spoken to me until just now when you came along. Why are you here?" She covers her mouth quickly, the rudeness of the question apparently occurring to her soon after she asks it. There's a twinkle in Agnes's eyes to match her smile. "Dearie, I'm not entirely sure. I was visiting a dear friend who has been quite ill, and as I left her room, something told me to come down this hallway. I don't much like to walk anymore, but I've learned to listen to those somethings. So down the hall I came, and I found you. Please, Call me Agnes. Mrs. Bartell sounds rather old, don't you think? Relena cocks her head, then a grin creeps across her lips. It's gone as fast as it arrived, and she turns as if to walk away, but Agnes catches her sleeve and beams broadly at her. Her voice seems to gain strength as she begins to laugh. Relena's shoulders slump, eyes cast down to the floor. "Dearie," says Agnes, her laugh departing, "you look, well, I've never seen such a look on one so young. Surely something awful has happened. Whatever is the matter?" The young girl looks up, faces the old woman's wrinkled visage, and begins to speak. "Agnes, I've done a bad thing. Very bad. I killed my mama. She's behind that door there." Relena points at the closed door. They won't let me see her. Not ever. She's dead, but I can't leave. I'm so afraid. Relena takes a step back. "Thank you for talking to me. You seem like a nice lady, but I'm a bad person." Tears flow freely now, streaming down her cheeks. "Relena," Agnes spreads her arms wide, "please, I don't believe you killed your mama. You're not the sort of girl who could ever do such a thing. Why, a dear sweet girl like you, I'll bet you don't even kill spiders. How could you have possibly killed anyone? Especially your mother. I simply won't believe it." "But it's true," says Relena. "It must have been me. Mama always told me I'd be the one to kill her. It happened. I didn't do what she told me to do, and now I killed her. I'm a bad, bad girl. I'm going straight to hell." Agnes gasps. Gingerly, she reaches out and takes Relena's hand, not so much smaller than her own, but without the spots and wrinkles of age. She holds that hand tightly and says, "Please, I won't be frightened away. I want to help, but I must understand. You must tell me everything, what you believe you've done. Let me share the hurt with you." They stare into one another's eyes, and something passes between them, perhaps a moment of recognition, of deepened trust. In a rush, all the hurts of Relena's short existence tumble from her lips. The insults. "Stupid child, you'll never amount to anything." The beatings. "I'll give you a lesson you'll never forget." The loneliness. "Friends? You've no time for friends. You've got work to do." The accusations. "Your father's dead, all because of you. He's not around to coddle you, not anymore." As the words spill forth, Agnes listens intently. She maintains a gentle expression on her face and a gentle touch with the hand that holds Relena's, but the fingers of her other hand clench into a fist. At last, the words slow and stop, and she pulls Relena close and holds her. Still perched on the chair, Agnes begins to sway while holding Relena close. Her eyes go out of focus as though staring at something far off in the distance. When she opens her mouth again, it is not her own voice that escapes her lips. Instead, a masculine tone emanates from her ancient vocal cords. "Relena," the voice says. The young girl reacts to the change, but not with fear. Instead, a widening smile erupts across her face, one that this time she makes no effort to repress. "Daddy? Is that really you, Daddy?" "My dear, sweet girl, I am here." Agnes no longer sways, but her embrace remains strong. Relena hugs the old woman's form more tightly. "She came, Daddy, just like you said." Of course she did. They always do. Does that mean, is she really my fairy godmother? She is, says her daddy, still speaking through the old woman, a true fairy godmother, filled with magic. Of course she could not ignore the call of my princess. I feel the magic in this one, right down to the marrow of her bones. Rowena pulls back, looking at Agnes's still closed eyes. She believed me. I told her I killed my mama, and I barely mentioned you. You did so well, my darling, so very well. She didn't really believe that you killed your mama, but she believed that you believed. And because of that, she let down her guard, opened herself for me, for us. She's a nice lady. Rowena pulls back, cocks her head in concern. What's going to happen to her? Do not be concerned for her. Just look at her form. She nears the end of her mortal life, and all her magic can no longer hold off the specter of death. But you and I, we can use that magic, lift it away from this ancient husk, do wonderful things. We'll allow her to slip into a more comfortable form, one free from aches and pains. Rowena remains in the old woman's embrace for another moment, then steps back. Her smile is broad, and in spite of the wrinkled shirt, the tear-stained face, the dusty shoes, she is full of life. It's time to go now, darling, says her daddy. I am stronger now, so much stronger. I will take a fresh form, a much younger form than this. I will meet you outside the front door, and then we can go home. Can we get ice cream? Asks Rowena. Of course. His words are faint, as though spoken from some distance. Agnes opens her eyes. They hold something. Understanding? Perhaps sadness. Maybe even simple resignation. Perhaps the loss of her personal magic feels as though her soul has already departed her form, but no words of recrimination are forthcoming. The old woman makes no more attempt to speak, and the remaining light fades from her eyes. Rowena, her task outside the hospital morgue completed, scampers off. A moment later, she turns, comes back, and plants a kiss on the old woman's cooling cheek, a note of appreciation for the gifts, willing and unwilling, of a fairy godmother.
Perilous Parking, written and narrated by Kurt Holman. 3 figures stood near the center of the otherwise empty parking lot. A gridwork of painted lines stretched out around them, fading into the shadowy borders that lay beyond the range of the single flickering streetlight. "Welcome to Perilous Parking," thundered a voice from out of the night. A haunted parking lot? Phil, the trio's self-appointed leader since middle school, spat on the asphalt. "This is so lame." "The sign just went up today." Cora's voice weakened with each word. "Besides, they didn't charge us admission." Phil rolled his eyes. "'Cause nobody's even here. We could be doing Fear Forest right now. I just thought, something's happening." The sound of Xander's voice, so rarely heard, made Phil and Cora follow his gaze. Near the edge of the lot, 20 paces off, a bubble the size of a small dog rippled the surface of the asphalt. "Cool," said Cora. "What do you think's coming out there?" "Probably just some pimply dude who just got fired from Nightmare Acres, waving his arms and moaning like a banshee," Phil demonstrated, hands slapping at the air. The bubble squished closer, pulsing and growing, the white painted lines in its path sloughed off to the sides like discarded ribbons. Phil froze, arms in mid-wave. The summer stench of hot asphalt, unexpected on a cool October night, rose to their nostrils. Okay, I'm freaking out. Cora couldn't take her eyes from the quivering mass. Here it comes. Phil's attempt to sound bored only made his fear more obvious. Dude's gonna pop out of there any second. My feet, said Xander, are stuck. All three attempted to move, but their shoes sank into liquid pavement. Ow, shouted Phil. Fucking toes are on fire. The throbbing mound of asphalt, now large enough to contain a pony, slid toward them in a slow-motion wave. Phil bent to release his shoes. Off balance, he screamed as his hands sank into burning tar. The black wave washed over him. His scream died to a burbling cry. Then just a tar bubble remained. Phil? Whimpered Cora. Discarded ribbons of white paint rose and danced around the still growing, pulsating blob. A vortex of white lines twirled together, then whipped out from the mound. Fuck, said Xander. A wet thwack was followed by 1,000 slices of what had once been a quiet teenager, sizzling on hot asphalt. Cora's scream died in her throat. Feet locked in searing pavement, she squeezed her eyes closed. Nothing happened. She dared a peek, then opened her eyes wide. Around her, flat asphalt stretched away, painted lines forming a grid. She stood alone at the center of an empty parking lot, the chill October breeze carrying the scent of decaying leaves. Her sneakers bore not a smudge of tar. The only physical sense of anything odd was the cooling wetness soaking her pants. Thank you for visiting Perilous Parking, rumbled the voice from the darkness. Tell all your friends.
Was That a Creak on the Staircase? Composed and performed by Tim Parker. Sinister Minutes is presented by Kurt Homan and Tim Parker. The musical score was composed and performed by Tim Parker. Our production team consists of Kurt Homan and Tim Parker. On behalf of everyone here at the Sinister Minutes podcast, namely Kurt Homan and Tim Parker, we thank you for listening, for joining us as we explore all the ways in which we are not okay. This audio program is copyright by Kurt Homan and Tim Parker under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives license.